Sometimes it's simply an echo, a habit your ancestors repeated for thousands of years. Think about how many generations lived before electricity. Almost every one of them experienced nights darker than anything most of us will ever know. They trusted sunrise instead of alarm clocks. They measured time by stars instead of smartphones. Their evenings followed the setting sun. Their mornings belonged to the birds. Your body was built by those people, not by office schedules, not by streaming services, not by endless scrolling after midnight. That ancient machine still lives inside you. Every yawn after sunset, every sleepy afternoon, every quiet awakening in the middle of the night. They're reminders of a rhythm that once guided nearly every human life. So the next time you wake in the darkness, remember this. For thousands of years, countless people opened their eyes beneath the same stars. They listened to the fire crackle. They whispered to their families. They watched the night pass. Then they closed their eyes once more and finished sleeping. We often believe modern life taught us how to sleep. History suggests something very different. We didn't discover a better way to rest. We simply taught an ancient body to follow a newer clock. Scientists now know that light controls one of the body's most important signals. When darkness arrives, your brain releases melatonin, preparing you for sleep. Bright light delays that signal, especially the blue light from phones, tablets, televisions, and computer screens. In other words, every glowing screen quietly tells your brain that the sun hasn't gone down yet. The result is something ancient humans almost never experienced. We feel tired, but we cannot sleep. Even stranger, researchers have recreated the old pattern in modern experiments. When volunteers spent weeks without artificial light, something unexpected happened. Their sleep naturally split into two separate periods, with a peaceful hour or more of wakefulness between them. Nobody instructed them to do this. Their bodies simply returned to an older rhythm. It was as if thousands of years of history had been waiting beneath modern habits. This changes the way we think about waking during the night. Many people lie awake at 2 a.m., glance at the clock, and panic. I should be asleep. I'm broken. What if I can't function tomorrow? But perhaps the awakening itself isn't the real problem. Perhaps the panic is. For much of human history, waking in the middle of the night wasn't considered insomnia. It was expected. Of course, that doesn't mean every midnight awakening is healthy. Pain, anxiety, illness, or chronic sleep disorders deserve attention. Modern medicine has dramatically improved sleep health. But history reminds us that not every interruption is a failure. They return to bed for what people once called the second sleep, remaining there until sunrise. To us, this sounds unusual. To them, it was simply how humans slept. The evidence appears everywhere. Old diaries describe people waking between sleeps without concern. Medical books mention the quiet hours between them. Even ancient prayers were written specifically for the time after the first sleep and before the second. Nobody believed anything was wrong, because nothing was. So what changed? The answer wasn't our bodies. It was our nights. Everything began to shift when cities grew brighter. Oil lamps became cheaper. Then came gas lamps. Finally, electric lights transformed the world. For the first time in human history, people could turn night into day. Factories stayed open after sunset. Shops welcomed customers late into the evening. People worked longer, socialized longer, read longer. The hours once spent awake in the middle of the night slowly moved to the evening instead. Bedtime became later. Morning stayed the same. Instead of two separate sleeps, they merged into one. Our schedule changed faster than our biology. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night for no reason? Not because of noise, not because of stress. You simply opened your eyes, looked into the darkness, stayed awake for a while, and then fell asleep again. Today we call that a sleep problem. But for thousands of years, it was completely normal. To understand why, you have to forget everything you know about bedtime. Imagine living 800 years ago. The sun disappears behind the hills. There are no light bulbs, no television, no phones glowing beside your bed. Even candles are too valuable to waste for long. Darkness doesn't slowly arrive. It takes over. So after eating your evening meal, there isn't much left to do. Families sit around the fire, tell stories, repair tools, whisper about tomorrow's hunt or tomorrow's market, and eventually lie down to sleep. Not because they're tired, because the night leaves them little choice. For the first few hours, they sleep deeply. Modern historians call this the first sleep. Then something strange happens. Around midnight, they wake up, not suddenly, not frightened, just awake, and they don't rush back to sleep. For the next hour or two, they talk quietly, pray, check on the animals, add wood to the fire, think about dreams, or simply sit in silence beneath the stars. Then, naturally, they become sleepy again.